Hello, we are live. So we're going to give it just a moment to make sure that we've got everything where it needs to go. We are attempting to also stream on Instagram today. So, welcome to Authentic Networking. This is collaboration over competition mindset for sure. And in this training series, this is actually lesson 3. So, if you've missed any, it's okay. You can still go back and catch those. And this course is actually available for free at the moment on my website. So, if you go to izzynalleyconsulting.com, at the top, I believe it's under the service tabs, there's a thing called programs. And on programs, you will actually be able to enroll in this program so that you can catch those recordings. Now, this is going to be available for free for a limited time as we're making sure that people have this information. This is part of my mission to help people heal their relationships through business. And we're going to dive into how we are improving our relationships. And I truly believe that as we can pick one area of our life, and in this case, we're working on networking, whether you are looking to advance your career, open up doors to opportunities, or to get more sales. So, this is for anyone and everyone within the business world who really needs to up level their networking skills in order to improve the relationships and ultimately whether you're just like I just need to make more sales. And that's okay if that's where you're coming from, but most likely you're here and you're tuning into this if you realize that just passing out your business card isn't working anymore, or maybe it was never working for you, or the just sending people cold DMs aren't working. And we really need to elevate as a society how we build relationships because I feel, and I believe there's research to support this, that the quality of our relationships have diminished. A lot of us have entered this scarcity mindset, and scarcity survival mode is normal. There's no shame in it. But what it does is it has us in this what's in it for me. I need quick results, the one size fits all approach. And just tell me what I need to do. I just need to fix it. I just need to relieve this pain and solve a problem. Now, from a marketing perspective, which is one of the realms I love, marketing and sales, this is fantastic, right? Everyone's in scarcity and survival mode, and we can sell something to them because they're more likely to buy it thinking it's going to fix their problems, and then they never even use it. But we don't want to approach our networking in that way. We want to elevate our networking. We want to come into a collaboration over competition. We want to enter into a world where we're co creating together, where we are improving our relationships through business so that it improves how we show up in life for family, friends, and all of it. So we approach this as a holistic view. And today we're talking about audacity, so being bold and stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone, but not necessarily outside of your comfort zone, but maybe to the edge of your comfort zone so that it doesn't have to feel unsafe. And so I'm going to give you some options on today's homework assignment. And yes, each and every lesson, there are actionable steps for you to put in place because just knowing this is not enough. Just knowing this and talking about it and just being very theory based is not enough to make the changes. That you have to commit to making changes and taking actions. And that's where I'm going to give you actions within each one of these lessons. Now, today, when we talk about audacity, we're also talking about admiration and using admiration as a way to step out from. Maybe we're hiding over in the corner, or we're at a networking event and we're leaning up against the wall and we're trying to wait for someone to come to us. Or we step up. Maybe you step up to the circle of people and you're like, hi, and then you just kind of leave it there, which could also be awkward at networking events. But this is networking more than just going to the networking event and doing that. This is networking from behind your screen as well. This is networking. Maybe you're moving from behind the screen to the real world. That was a big jump for me. I had always been working virtually within the business world, and I had worked remote. COVID was fantastic because nothing really changed. And then after COVID let up and we were getting back to the real world, I really noticed, and I think a lot of us did, that relationships were important, that meeting people in person was important. And in some ways, I had built my world so much around the virtual that was challenging. And in other ways, it was really me getting lazy and saying, oh, it's just so much easier to have a Zoom meeting. I don't have to drive anywhere. And I had set in these new norms. But what happened is when I made the commitment to get out from behind my screen and actually start having in-person coffee chats and going to networking events again and actually having these conversations in person, being able to see people's body language again, being able to see how they navigate the room, and these conversations that were being had. And this is something I totally keep talking about, is the conversations that I had dramatically skyrocketed what I was able to do. Now, that being said, follow up, you can either follow up or fail, because regardless of how much we go out there and how much audacity and boldness that we take and how much admiration that we can show to other people, if we do not follow up, then we will fail. So, one thing that I've always noticed is maybe we push ourselves to go to the networking event, just as an example. But then we don't schedule the time to follow up with the contacts that we made. Essentially, we're doing the same thing that a lot of us are doing on social media, where the spray and pray, where we're just like spraying our cards out. We're just tossing it out, going, I exist, I exist. And then we're just praying that someone's going to reach out to us, and we are leaving it in their hands. We have to be really cautious of that, because we're essentially giving away our power when we do that, and we are not taking any responsibility. This is the lazy way to do it, or the unknowing way to do it, because I would definitely say I did this in the beginning because I didn't know anything different. But I started realizing I was putting all this energy into the external. I'm like giving, 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 and I wasn't getting anything back, or it was far and few between for the amount of energy that I was putting out. This is where we need to get people's information. If you have a conversation with someone at a networking event, it is not your job to say, here's my card, let's continue this conversation. It's, can I get your information so that we can continue this conversation? And for some of us, that might be your bold step, your audacious step. Because stepping up and asking for their information and then you taking responsibility to follow up with that is you taking the power. Not power away from someone, but your own power. It's owning it. Otherwise, we're giving it away, going, oh, well, they're going to follow up with me. And then 2-3 weeks pass. Who's had this happen, right? 2-3 weeks pass. That person never followed up with you. And who knows, they might have lost your card. They might have forgot. Life might have gotten busy. They might be searching for you and they can't find you. There's several things that could go wrong. But when you both have each other's information, the success rate rises. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about audacity and stepping up and being bold. From this angle, we're saying, I'm going to step up and I'm going to make sure that I have information, that I'm taking responsibility. Now, in that, we have to have conversations. So, one of these ways to do this is through admiration. So, today we're talking about getting yourself the possibility of stepping in front of someone, and this again can be virtual, it can be in person, of someone that you admire. Now, of admiration, this can be if you work at a company and you're looking to up level your career. Maybe it's a VP, maybe it's the president, maybe it's just a manager. And you would love to either one, be in their position someday, work with them someday. Maybe you want to climb higher than them someday. Any of those are fine. But we're going to approach them with admiration, of giving them a compliment, of seeing them and showing them that you are witnessing their goodness, their positive aspects, the things that they are doing well. And it might take you a day or two to really like observe them and find this out, because we want to be authentic. We don't want to just throw some schmoozing out where it feels unauthentic, because that person will feel it, right? Have we felt that before, where someone's just like being fake? This is not about being fake. This is not about going through the motions. This is about showing up fully. And so to express admiration to someone, you're going to need to see what they do and what they do well, and admire them for that, and say, hey, I noticed that you do these things, and I just wanted to really say that I see that, I appreciate that. Maybe I think I need more. I think the world needs more of that. Or I don't know if anyone has told you that this is amazing and that I appreciate this. And it can start with just a compliment. So within these phases, maybe again, it's just asking for their information. Maybe it's just giving the compliment. It can be, maybe a phase 2 is giving them the compliment and saying, hey, I don't know if you're available, if we could sit and have lunch together, if we could go for coffee. I'd love to ask you some questions. And ask them some questions to get their perspective. Now, within networking, this is typically not done. Most people are talking to talk because they want to sit down and have coffee so they can give you their spiel. This is not what we're doing. And if you missed that, go back to lesson 2. We are not just pitching ourselves, especially for the first 1 or 2 meetings. That is hard for some people, because some of us, when we're in sales, when we are in what we think is client relationship building, we're like, I need to see results, and I need to see results quickly. So taking a little bit of steps to set a strong foundation tends to get skipped. So to sit down and have coffee, to get someone's advice, and don't forget that we are doing this so that we are up leveling in our careers, that we are up leveling in our sales, that we are up leveling in opportunities. The results of this are far grander than a quick sale. This is where we set up ourselves for repeat sales. This is where we set ourselves up to have mentors for life. This is where we set ourselves up to open up opportunities that we were never even knew were possible. So when you sit down to have coffee or share lunch with them, and you're going to have some questions prepared. Now, this is going to vary based on each person and who you're talking to. And if you need some suggestions, by all means, message me. Let's chat so that we can see how we really put this into play. Now, what you're doing in this is you're allowing them to become more porous. So they're going to be more open and receptive and see that you are authentic. It's developing trust. which, yes, we have to take a little bit more time to do that. But if you are already struggling in relationships, and if you look at the relationships in all of your life and you look and you say, are all of my relationships or the majority of my relationships surface level, or are they deep? Do I have people that I can lean on, people that I can call when I really need to ask a question? If not, then this is part of your relationship healing journey as well. So, asking questions, and then you're also going to ask them, what are some action steps that you think that I can take to improve? You are asking for feedback on you. Now, this is where we start to change the dynamic of how we receive feedback. Because most of the time, we only know feedback at work when we get our maybe quarterly review or annual review. And we are being given feedback that we didn't always ask for. But if we can consistently ask for feedback and allow ourselves to receive that feedback, and when you receive that feedback, that doesn't mean that you have to apply all of it. We have to use a level of discernment. But when we are receiving that feedback and we're receiving it from someone who's in a position higher or more robust than our own, or in a position that we admire, we have to understand with that discernment what is their journey versus what is the journey into this role. And this allows you, one, to decide, is this someone that you want to continue to build this relationship with? Is this someone who you can also begin to trust? Now, I mentioned follow up or fail because after you have this one-on-one with this person, you're going to want to follow up. And the follow up can sometimes feel awkward, but it is a standard and it is a beautiful practice of communication that I recommend that we begin to develop if it is not already established. When we follow up, this is something, again, you can apply to your personal life. You can apply to within your career, for scaling, for in sales. Just thanking them for taking the time, because time is our biggest investment. Thanking them for taking the time to share advice with you, to answer your questions, and restate that you really appreciate the steps, the advice, the homework that they gave you, and that you're going to try to implement it. And this is what you're going to do, and have that accountability. They might not hold you accountable, but you're holding yourself accountable by sharing that with them, especially if this is in the workplace. Now, I also want to mention another way of doing this. So, very often we start a new job, or maybe we're introduced to someone at a networking event. And we have an opportunity, and it might be a slim opportunity, to meet the CEO, the president, maybe it's the mayor, or someone that you are wanting to meet that is at a very high position. And often we think, oh, well, they don't want to hear anything from me. Like, what am I going to ask? And a lot of these thoughts can come in. Even when it comes to asking someone for a coffee or a lunch, a lot of times our thought can be, oh, they're too busy for me. That's a worthiness issue. It never hurts to ask, because most of the time, everyone thinks that that person is extremely busy. They might be, but they also might have intentions and priorities of having conversations, because they most likely know everything that we're talking about. That's how they got there. All right. So when you have these small opportunities, and this genuinely happens at the very beginning of a new job, the CEO might come in, or if you're at an event and the speaker or the host is there, or you're trying to get yourself in the room. All right. So this higher up person is there. Ask them a question rather than, just try to tell them about you. ask a thoughtful question. Now, this might be something that you already think you know the answer to. That's okay. But ask it in a way that what if you could ask a question that asks them about the future of where they want to be or where they want the company to be, so that you can help facilitate or figure out a way how you can get involved to help in that journey of where they want to be or the company to be in the future. Think about that. You could help solve a problem that they have or a challenge that they have, or help accelerate the path of where they want to be, where they want the business to be. This is where you can lead with generosity, which we've been talking about, but you can audaciously step up and be bold to ask the question, then to follow up with this, to gather information, to do research, to fill a gap, to fill a need. And what if you then emailed that person, gathering their information, and you're doing it in a way that is helpful? So if you need to reach out to, let's say, their secretary or something and say, hey, I was at the event the other day with so and so, and I asked a question about this. Well, I've been doing some research and I've found, and include your research, and I wanted to see if I could present this or if you could forward it to them for me. Now, the chances that that actually happens can vary. However, keep being persistent. Keep working through that. Again, being audacious, being bold. This has happened several times, and this is how people have worked their way up the ladder. This is how people have gotten major contracts with companies to be a facilitator of a need. And this is how we can help bridge the gaps to be useful, to be a referral for other people as well. Another way that you could go about doing this is, let's say you're a financial advisor, and right, like that's a little tricky to really put yourself in front of other people, but you have some contacts and you want to network with them and have conversations with them, and maybe there's a couple that have a business, and you ask them, you're like, hey, what is some information that you need about people that I could assist with? If I could go out and do some research for you, because I'm talking to a lot of people as well, and I could gather that information for you that would make an impact in your business, what can I do for you? What can I do for you to help move the line, move the needle, move the bar for you? To put yourself forward with generosity and take that audacious step to ask a bold question, to say, okay, would it be worthy for me to put in a few hours while I'm also networking and having conversation? I really want to change that word networking to conversation. But to have conversation, gathering this information, which becomes this little mini project, which also can be fun. And this information that you have is never going to go away. You're gathering this information that you can share with other people as well, that might even help you. But now you can say, hey, I'd love to schedule a coffee chat if we could and go over my findings and present this to you. That step to help further them is building trust. It's building collaboration. And that person is going to be far more likely to want to do business with you than someone else who's just there, just for the quick exchange. When we have these relationships that are collaborative, it is so beautiful that we can have these elevated relationships where we're doing business with each other. We are helping and promoting, and we are creating our network. Networking is not an external experience. It is an experience to draw in and create your network. When we say we're going out to go networking, I'm going out to meet people, to have conversation, to see if there's anyone that I can pull into my network. And that I then have a network that people would want to know me just to learn more about my network. So let's change how we think about this. Now, the challenge for this week, the homework, the assignment, the actionable step is first and foremost for you to go show admiration. So I would love if you could find 3 people to show admiration to. And this is going to be you audaciously stepping up, whether it's sending them a DM, sending them an email, giving them a call, leaving them a voicemail, or maybe it's even writing a handwritten note. So you're going to choose 3 people, and mark this on your calendar today or tomorrow. You're going to choose 3 people. And then each consecutive day, you are going to schedule time to send that to one person so that you have 3 days where you're sending something. And you get to decide on your level and phase of how you want to grow and accelerate, to expand, to stretch. Is this going to be asking them to a coffee chat? Is this going to be maybe scheduling a Zoom chat with them? And giving this compliment, followed by a let's chat. That try to get this scheduled so that you can have this chat sooner rather than later, so that you don't overthink it. And then to be sure that you follow up. As you do this, can you imagine the level of relationships that you are going to build? Can you imagine the seeds that you are planting so that you can grow and develop? And I caution you, because so many people say, oh, that's a great idea. And they think about it, and they just think about it. So from this session, go put it on your calendar so that you don't forget. It only needs to be 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes max, where you're scheduling these as little reminders to follow up. Your conversations, community building, your collaboration is crucial for you to develop and grow in your career, whether that be, corporate wise, or if it is to be an entrepreneur, to grow your business. Any of these areas, it is crucial. And not only that, but it's a beautiful thing for you to have happiness and peace, because humans need humans. The biggest poverty level is loneliness. So to have this amazing community that you get to build up, that you have to take charge of, that you have to be audacious in owning your own power, in owning yourself, your own responsibility, to say, I can create my own network. But I have to keep in mind of, I'm allowing myself to grow. I'm allowing myself to have a growth mindset. I'm allowing myself to be open to learning, receiving feedback. I'm open to helping people and being of servant leadership and servant sales, rather than just constantly, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Because if we are leading with what's in it for me, not to say we shouldn't ask that question, but if we're leading with that, and that is the primary, then we are in scarcity survival mode. To get ourselves out of scarcity and survival, beautiful magic is helping other people. Because when we show up and help other people, we ask questions, we get curious, we will find the answers in those scenarios. Allow yourself to allow the doors of opportunity to open by setting a strong foundation, by planting the seeds and staying true and trusting the process. This works. I promise it does. Write down your homework, go get your calendar, schedule this in, and I will see you next week for session 4 in collaboration over competition, authentic networking, how we co create together. I'm Izzy Nalley, and I will see you then.